in listen-only mode.
Hello, this is Tim Alberg. I'm the Assistant Director of Adult and Graduate Enrollment here at Elmhurst College. Thanks for taking a few minutes out tonight to join us on our supply chain webinar, the 5 o'clock edition. If you could real quickly, you can see in your little display box there's a little circle with a hand in it. If you can hear me, make sure you go ahead and press that so I can see you're getting my signal. All right, one person. Again, if you can hear me, if you could just, there we go. Okay, cool. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to turn this over to Dr. Robbie Thomas, who's the Director of the Supply Chain Management Program, and he's going to take you through this PowerPoint presentation. There will be time for questions at the end. You can see there's a bar there on your little box so you can type questions in. If you can hold off on doing that until the end of the presentation, you'll see when we're going to ask for it. That'd be great. Dr. Thomas?
Yeah, good evening. This is Robbie Thomas. I am the Director of the Graduate Program in Supply Chain Management, and I am also a full professor here at the School of Business and Economics. I want to actually talk to you a little bit about our program. Initially, I just want to talk a little bit about the supply chain program, supply chain itself. And then, I'll just want to take you through some of the things that we do in the program. So let's start off with all right. So anyway, some of you obviously know what supply chains are about, or at least you've heard about, what a supply chain is. This is something that businesses started thinking about probably in the late 90s. That's when it started getting into vogue. So what you have in front of you is basically what I think is, your traditional view of what a firm is. So if you would see if you go from your left to your right, you have your suppliers, and then your things bunched together, which is within the company itself. You have plants, your marketing, product development, sales, operations, and so on and so forth. And then of course you have your customers and the marketplace on your right, connected through obviously your retailers, who could also be your customers. Now, traditionally, the way companies did things, let's say even up until the mid-80s, is basically do not look outside of your plant, outside of your firm. So you had your plant, your marketing, your operations, and so on and so forth. And each of these actually worked as silos. So, the company itself might have had a certain mission statement and certain goals and certain strategies. And each of these entities within the company were supposed to develop their own strategies that mirrored what the company's strategy was. But a lot of times, if you work in silos, this is basically what happens. Some of your goals might not be congruent with, other people's goals. For example, in sales, the main goal is what? It's to maximize revenue. At the same time, if you look at plants, which is manufacturing, the goal is to minimize costs. And I can tell you a lot of different scenarios where those two goals actually do not go together. So, people started wondering, how do we get past this where everybody works in some sort of a synchronization? And that basically led to a different type of thinking. So if you look on your left right now, you have that original silo mentality where finance did their own thing, marketing did their own thing, manufacturing did their own thing, and so on and so forth. But in the mid-80s and late 80s and things like that, we started getting into more matrixed organizations where the silos still existed, but if you notice now behind there are these boxes, and each of them basically might have been a process. Right? Now, it need not be a process. It could have been that, there is a certain brand of product that you have, and everybody basically worked for that brand also. So basically you could be a finance person who also worked for the brand, a manufacturing person who also worked for the brand, and so on and so forth. But we've come even further from that now, where we are actually now trying to get past the silo mentality altogether and get completely into process mentalities. So, for example, one of the processes that I've listed there for you is fulfilling demand. Now, when fulfilling demand, obviously somebody is asked for something, there is a demand for it, and now we need to fulfill it. Now, when we are trying to fulfill demand, actually everybody in every silo is involved in it, okay? Somebody has to generate the demand, which could be sales and marketing. Somebody has to basically then make sure the product is available. That could be purchasing, that could be manufacturing, that could be your transportation, that could also be your suppliers who need to get the raw materials, and so on and so forth. So everybody gets involved in it. So it doesn't matter which silo you work in. If you don't understand what the rest of the silos are doing in your process, you pretty much cannot do that process very well. You probably don't do your part very well. The idea in supply chain is to basically then understand the whole process so that you can do your part in the whole process better than you normally would do, right? So that's one of the emphasis that we have in our courses, is to teach you the whole supply chain. So this comes to, what I have here as a schematic is basically your supply chain the way we look at it today. We have suppliers interacting with plants, interacting with distribution centers, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, really, it's not really a chain. It's more of a supply web where, you have multiple connections as we go from vendors all the way to their customers. Now, in our program here, this is a schematic that we use in terms of laying down the curriculum. So we look at upstream processes. Upstream processes are, any process that goes towards your vendors, your suppliers. Those are your supplier relationship management type issues that we will look at. Then once the raw materials do come into your own environment, then you have your internal supply chain processes. This is basically your forecasting, your sales and operations planning, those sort of issues that come in. Inventory obviously being a big, big lever in the whole supply chain. And then, of course, we go to the downstream processes. This is basically more towards your customers. Customer related issues. So you have a whole aspect of customer relationship management that we're going to be looking at. Now, the next couple of three slides, actually, the next three slides that we have here are basically some of the different types of topics that you will see in each of these processes, the upstream, the internal, and the downstream. And again, I've listed, certain select ones. These are not exhaustive. These are just representative samples. So if you look, for example, at customer relationship management, these are some of the things that we will be looking at. I won't go through each one of them, but you can take a read on that. When we get to the supplier relationship management, these are some of the things that we will look at, things like negotiation, sourcing. These are all extremely important aspects of it, strategic purchasing. So these are different topics that you will be learning as you go along. And then, of course, this is actually my area of expertise, which is the internal supply chain, more in terms of demand planning, supply planning, network design, those sort of things. All right, that should give you an idea of some of the different topics that you will see as you go along. Now, throughout the program, we will be emphasizing these 6 primary supply chain drivers. These are the 6 drivers that drive anybody's supply chain. You start with the supply chain network. The network being, how many facilities are you going to have? How big are those facilities going to be? Where are they located? Which facility serves which markets? Which DC serves which retailer, those sort of questions. So these are based, supply chain network is a strategic initiative. It's a big optimization type problem. Once you decide on one of those and you embark on implementing that, obviously, you can't come back, 5-6 years later and say, hey, listen, I don't want my facility here. That's not the way things work, all right? Similarly, inventory, big issue. About, if you take your average Fortune 500 company, about 60% of their working capital is actually sitting in inventory, which is making you no money, all right? In fact, it's costing you money. Similarly, transportation, big chunk of, the spend. Information, that's the glue. That's the glue that makes the whole supply chain work. So we will have a lot of courses in terms of information management. And then, of course, we have sourcing and pricing, which we have in various classes, right? All right, now while we also focus on those levers, we will be focusing on a lot of different types of best practices. I've just listed 6 of those best practices that we typically discuss a lot in different classes. But there are more to this list, but let me just go through some of them, okay? So one of the major issues is strategic alliances, okay? Now that's the whole idea of the supply chain, is that going out into the future, or even now as we speak, companies are not competing with other companies in their same industry. It's basically supply chains are competing with supply chains in the same industry. And as soon as you have a supply chain, you need partnerships, alliances, okay? So how do we form those alliances? For example, right now, good example would be the alliance that Procter & Gamble has with Walmart. They recognize that very early that P&G needs Walmart, and Walmart also knows a lot of their SKUs are from P&G. So they have a very efficient alliance that they have. Similarly, there are many other types of alliances, and how do we go around doing these things? That is something that we will be focusing on. Now, with those alliances, we also have the same thing with the alliance in terms of, how exactly do we form these alliances to maximize profit at the same time, give your customer the best value. So in that area, how you manage your channels becomes a big issue. That's something that we discuss in a lot of different classes. Visibility and responsiveness. Now, this is very key in terms of supply chains, and especially with the technology we have nowadays. This is something that we can make possible, especially visibility. We have a very global sort of world right now where, it's quite flat, and, you have you're part of your supply chain in China, and, another part in India, or, Thailand, and things like that. So at any point in time, you need to be able to know what is going on, where your materials are. And then, based on that, how quickly can you respond to changes that happen in the marketplace. So we do a lot of, we discuss a lot of issues in terms of visibility, how to make that as good as possible, and also responsiveness in various classes that you will take. This e-commerce and information technology, this is what actually makes this whole supply chain concept possible. Because without information, none of these, none of what we think of as a modern, efficient, responsive supply chain can happen, right? But with e-commerce, obviously, there are a lot of different issues that have come up also. For example, take home delivery. Okay, home delivery usually are in small shipment sizes. Once upon a time, if you Gap wanted to sell something, you and I basically did the last mile and went to Gap to go pick it up and bring it. But now I can go online on Gap and then order it, and then suddenly the responsibility of that last mile becomes Gap's responsibility. So there are a lot of ways things have changed in terms of how you do business, and what sort of costs there are in these processes. So those are some other issues that we're going to be looking at, right? I just talked to you about network design. This is obviously a very important issue. Looks in terms of, how exactly your supply chain network should look like, how big, where the facility should be, who serves who, this is something that you will find in the warehousing classes, the manufacturing classes, and even in the transportation classes in terms of, what are some of the network issues that these levers face. Finally, change management here. Change management is basically what when we say change management, we are talking about, okay, you have a great design for a great or a great idea. Now you want to basically introduce it into the workplace. How do you introduce it into the workplace? The only way you can succeed to introduce it into the workplace is if your most valuable asset, that is your human capital, is willing to accept that change. And a lot of times that's basically where the best ideas fail. There might be nothing wrong with the idea or the system that you've created, but unless you get buy-in with the people that work for you, 80% of the time, when things fail, that's the reason it fails. So we look at, the human capital aspect of it. How do we bring around change? How do we get people to buy into things? How do we take advantage of diversity in the workplace? Those sort of things are something that we emphasize a lot on. All right. Let me now move on and talk about some of the program details. This supply chain graduate program was started in 2001. We currently have our 13th cohort in the program doing their first year. So there are 11 cohorts that have already graduated. There were some years when we had 2 cohorts starting, which we don't do anymore. We only have 1 cohort a year right now. So we have over about 200 supply chain alumni in the greater Chicago metropolitan area. We have an alumni network which is very active, very helpful towards each other in terms of, employment, and also any type of problems in the supply chain that one might see, and in terms of getting advice in terms of how to go around dealing with that. Now the model that we use is a cohort model. I don't know if you are familiar with the cohort model. A cohort model just means that we admit about 20 students each year. Now those 20 students basically go through the program together for the 21 months of the program. So it's not like going into one of these big universities and you register and then you basically go and pick and choose whatever class you want to do. That's not the way it works. Every semester it'll be fixed classes for the 20 people in that cohort. So you pretty much go with the same cohort together. All right. Now, one of the things that I emphasize a lot when I select the cohort each year is to make sure that there is a diversity of skills in the class. So when I say diversity of skills, what I try and do is, get people from different parts of the supply chain. So I like people from purchasing, like people from manufacturing, marketing, finance. We always have a couple of engineers in there, some IT people in there. This actually enhances the learning experience in class, because if people with different experiences and different perspectives bring that to the class, the learning is definitely a lot richer. Now, in terms of the student profile, we do require that people be at least people have worked at least 3 years before they apply. But typically, what we've seen in the last 6-7 years is, on an average, the number of years of experience in the class is about 10 to 12 years. That's what we're seeing. We have people who are senior vice presidents of companies, directors of companies, managers, and also, we have had, quite a few people just 3-4 years out of school who are now analysts and, on the way up in their careers. So we like to keep that, difference there also, because some of the younger people are much better at technology than some of the old people like me. But there also I try and get some sort of a diversity in the group, because a lot of these young people can get a lot out of the business experience that some of the vice presidents or the directors bring to the class. All right, a little bit about the curriculum. The curriculum, we have 22 classes. Now that might sound like a lot, but actually it isn't, so I'll explain in a minute. So with the 22 classes and finally a project that you will do, and this is during the course of the period. The program is about 21 months. You start in late August and then finish in May, not the following year, but the year after that. All right. Now the 22 classes, of the 22 classes, 10 of them are 6-week classes. And then we have 12 of them that are 9-week classes. So really speaking, a 10-week, a 6-week and a 9-week class in your typical semester is one class. So even though we have 2 6-week modules and 2 9-week modules, it's effectively like taking 2 classes, all right? Classes generally meet once a week, 6 to 10:30 in the evening. This is basically during the fall, spring, and summer term. We have one little exception, that is what we call a J term here. This is a semester that we have in the January month. So that's that particular month in January. You will meet twice a week, once on Monday nights and once on Wednesday nights. All right, just to expand a little further, during the fall and the spring terms, what we will do is we'll do 2 6-week classes and 2 9-week classes during the fall and the spring. So typically when you come in, we will start you with a 6 and a 9-week class. One class will go 6 o'clock to 8:10, and the other class will go from 8:20 to 10:30. In the 7th week, when your first 6-week class is over, we basically introduce the second 9-week class there. And in the 10th week, when the first 9-week class is over, we introduce the next 6-week class there. Okay, so that's basically 6 to 8 and 8:20 to 10:30 for 15 weeks. In the 15 weeks, you'll have done 2 6-week classes and 2 9-week classes, right? In the summer, we meet months of June and July. Again, only once a week, but it'll be 8 to 9 weeks long, the classes, and you will go one from 6 to 8 and the other one 8:20 to 10:30. All right. The J terms, now obviously you have 2 January terms, one in the first year and one in the second year. So you will be coming both Mondays and Wednesdays in the month of January, and between the 2 J term classes, you should have finished 4 of those 22 classes that I mentioned earlier. Now classes meet on Wednesdays in the fall and spring semester of your first year. Once the first year fall and spring semester classes are over, classes move to Monday nights the rest of the way, the whole of the second year and the summer, right? So that of course does not include the J term classes, which like I said before, meet on Mondays and Wednesdays. All right, now in addition to these 22 classes, like I said before, we have a final year project. This final year project, what we do is this cohort of 20 students that come in, we break them up into smaller groups of about 4 to 5 students, and it's up to you to decide who's in your group. And then what we ask them to do is to go back to the firms that they work in and look for a supply chain problem that they see at the workplace. And then if the people at work are amenable, and then we here think that it is worth doing as a final year project, then you will be assigned an advisor, and then you will spend starting the first summer and the whole second year working on the supply chain problem and coming up with a solution for that particular problem. And at the end of the project, you're expected to have a white paper ready and a presentation that you will make to the companies, alumni from our program, current students, and the faculty at Elmhurst. So that's basically the last thing that you will do at the end of the second year. Just to give you an idea of some of the projects, about 3 years back, we did a big project with Bosch Automotive Afterparts Division. We basically redesigned their supply chain network, the whole North American supply chain network. This was done using a software called iLog, which belongs to IBM. I don't know if some of you are familiar with that. But that project has since been implemented, and from what we've been told by Bosch, we're saving them about $5 million a year based just on that project. So these are actually, real life consulting type projects. It's just that you also going to be using some of the academic research rigor that you learned in the program to these particular problems. Similarly, we have done a ton of different, every year we have about four projects that we do. So we have had Motorola's, Kraft, Alberto Culver. I personally prefer people doing it with medium to small size firms because those people can't afford a consultant, and this is basically free consultancy for them. But I can give you a lot of different examples of different types of projects that we did. But again, just to reiterate, these are actually, think of them as part consulting, part academic research type projects. All right, moving on. Just a few things about faculty. When we designed this program prior to 2001, one of the things that we wanted to do was to make sure that we had a combination of academic PhDs from Elmhurst combining with corporate executives to teach in the program, and that's basically how it is. About 50% of the classes are taught by academic professors at Elmhurst, and about half of them are taught by executives that I've hired from the Chicagoland industry. All right. Now, when I say PhD, it is not. You should not look at it as some guy who teaches and then goes and does a lot of research that nobody can read. That's not the way faculty at Elmhurst work, especially the business faculty who teach in the supply chain program. Most of us have our own consulting companies. We do a lot of hands-on work and very active in the industry. At the same time, obviously, we are professors at a college for a reason, because we value that rigor that you bring in from academics. All right, so that's basically what you'll get from the faculty. Now, the corporate executives that we have as faculty in the program, these are not people who we pay a lot of money. They don't do this for the money. In fact, the money we pay them probably is just enough for the gas to get here. But these are people who do it because they have a passion for what they do, and they're a great passion to share it with people. And I'll give you an example. I have a faculty who comes in from Milwaukee. He owns a 4PL. That's his own 4PL. He's a multimillionaire, has his own plane, but is not allowed to fly in the night. I think that's his wife's rule. But he comes in at 8:20 for a class at 8:20, teaches the 8:20 to 10:30 class, and then drives back to Milwaukee when his course is being taught. That sort of shows you, the type of passion these people have. I mean, he's not doing this for the money. He basically enjoys being in class, and that's the only reason he's doing it. All right, now some other features that I want to just touch upon. One of the things that I want to make sure you understand is this. You are buying into a very powerful alumni network. We are the only school in the Chicagoland area with a graduate program in supply chain management. And like I mentioned earlier, we have over 200 alumni out there and another 40 working their way out of here. So this is basically a very powerful network in terms of, networking within our supply chain industry in the Chicagoland area. And I have seen a lot of, help going from people one way or, to the other. It might be something to do with, some supply chain problem that you have, or it might be that, you basically want to change jobs and move somewhere else. It doesn't matter what it is. Usually if it comes into the network, I generally see a lot of people helping each other out. Second thing I want to mention is this. Elmhurst is a small liberal arts school. We got about less than 3,000 students, including undergraduates, on campus here. With the small size school comes the the care and the attention that people look at. This is not like a big school where you register and then you become a statistic and you just get lost on campus. Here, most of your faculty will know you by your name. There will be a lot of administrators who know you by your name, and these would be people who go out of their way to help you with anything that you need help with. Then, of course, the specialized degree. This is something that I have a lot of passion for. When I talk to people and they tell me they have an MBA and in general MBA, to me, like I'm wondering at times, why are you wasting your time? Everybody's got a general MBA. At the same time, this is not that way. It's a very specialized area. It's a supply chain management, which not many people are qualified in. All right. And on top of that, keep in mind, less than 9% of the U.S. population has a master's degree, and you're basically getting into a master's degree that is even rarer, right? So that is something that I wanted to emphasize. Now, there's a item that I didn't list here, but I would like to talk to you about also. We have here something called a Supply Chain Research Institute on campus. It's basically the consulting wing of the supply chain program on campus. So we have companies that come to us for various different types of problems with supply chains that they want us to help them with. Obviously, we charge them a nominal amount, nowhere anywhere near what some of these big consultants will charge them, but we do charge them. But each time we get a project, I usually form a virtual team which includes faculty or students and even alumni in it. In fact, right now we're doing one with Generation Brands. They're the ones who make all these decorative lighting and fans and things like that you will see in places like Home Depot or Lowe's or things like that. So we're doing a big project with them. So we have a student involved in it, one alumni involved in it, and then I'm the lead investigator in it. So that is another opportunity that people in the program have. If you're interested in that sort of things, you could basically get involved with that. Finally, we always talk about the Elmhurst experience. This is not something I can describe to you, but I've been in different schools before I joined Elmhurst. There is something very different about being at Elmhurst. The way I see the whole place, it's so student-centric. I've never seen anything like that before. There is a certain, very hometown type feel to the whole place. So I hope, I see you guys applying and, come and experience this Elmhurst experience that we offer you. All right. On the next page, we have, the application process itself. So there are 4 bullet points over there. These are basically what we expect to get from you before we start looking at your files. So we have basically need official transcripts from all colleges attended, 3 letters of recommendation, a professional resume. Now the professional resume, what I do is I use that to see where you've been, all right? And then basically what I use, the second bullet, the statement of purpose, is to see where do you want to go and why this program you think is going to take you there. So though that's fit, I need to see as to where you've been, where you want to go, and why do you think this particular program is going to take you there. So if you decide to apply and when you're writing your statement, keep that in mind. That that's basically what you want to convey to the admissions committee. All right. Now, if you have any questions about admission application, there is this number and the email address that is on your screen, and you can also contact Betsy Kubler, who is our director of graduate admissions, directly at the email and the number written below that. This is also available on our college webpage. Right? All right. So at this point in time, I will take some questions. And Tim, you want to just tell them one more time as to how to do the questions?
Sure. All you need to do is there's a little white box on the bottom of your webinar display in your upper right-hand corner. You can just type in there, I believe press enter, and we'll get a little notification on this end. and we'll be able to read off your questions and answer them as they come in. So go ahead and take a moment to do so. And keep in mind, we will be following up with you by email. I will be sending out this PowerPoint presentation with that, and we intend to post this onto our website once we get that set up. The recording of this webinar, that is. So one question that we often have with this program, Dr. Thomas did mention the MBA program. It is worth mentioning that we do also have what's called an MBA option with this program, where after you complete the supply chain masters, if you want to, you can do one more additional year in the MBA core curriculum and also get an MBA master's. And the advantage there, we also offer an MBA with a specialization in supply chain if you wanted to just get an MBA, but this would be a little bit more powerful way to go about it. You get the specialized master that Dr. Thomas described and an MBA, so you get two separate master's degrees. What is the cost per credit hour? Yes, that's a common question I was about to raise for you guys. We're currently charging, and have been for the last couple of years, $7.85 per semester hour. Usually we pay in semester blocks, so each semester you're enrolled, you can set up a payment plan across the 4 months of that semester, and you pay for the number of hours you're into, and usually between 6 and 8 hours per semester is what you're enrolled in, so it'd be $70.85 times that, roughly. The whole program would come in at about $25,000, a little more than that.
It's 38 credit hours, so it's the
785.
The 785 times the 38, so it comes to a little under $30,000.
Yeah, excuse me, 29,000 is what I meant to say. So just about $30,000. If you do have any kind of work reimbursement programs with your employers, we're pretty flexible about working with your employer on that, so that if you get a process where you have to get a reimbursement after a semester is over, we'll defer that amount until such time you actually get it, so you don't have to pay it out front. Great question. All right, well, we might as well just leave it right there then. If you do have more questions, like I said, I will be following up with all of you via email in the next day or so. With this PowerPoint, you're welcome to contact myself, Betsy, Dr. Thomas. You'll have all of our contact information in this presentation or through my email.
Next page.
And thank you. There's Dr. Thomas's information right there. But again, thanks for taking out the time to join us this evening. And like I said, we hope to hear from you soon. March 10th in the spring, we'll be doing an on-campus information session. If you want to come and see the campus itself, you're welcome to set up a visit with myself for that as well. But thanks again.